Hello and welcome to Sarah's Sugar Shack. Today we're going to be going over setting up the gradebook in Moodle sites, or it's also known as eClass if you work for the University of Alberta. So gradebooks can be a daunting place, and setting them up can be either easy or quite complicated, depending on what type of assessments you have and how many assessments you have. So I'm going to be going over the basics and then just showing an example of a little bit more complicated one, as well as an example of a course that's pass-fail. So first we need to get into the gradebook. So you'll want to click on the pancake stack up here and then go to grades. And then we want to click on the setup tab. So any assessments or exams that you've already created are just going to plop themselves right in here, and unless you've specified otherwise when creating the assignment or exam, it's just going to go loose at the top. So we can go to the very top where it says Sarah's Learning Corner. It's going to have the name of your course up there. We'll click on Edit and Edit Settings. And here you can set the aggregation for the entire course. So whether it's the weighted mean of grades, that's what we would normally use for them, or if you've got something different going on. If you have a course that's a pass-fail course, here you would want to go down to Scale, and then you're going to look for the pass-fail scale and select that. But for right now, we're going to be setting up a regular course that's not pass-fail. So I'm just going to cancel out of here so it doesn't save any of my changes. So you're going to want to base your gradebook a lot off of your course outline. It's helpful for students if we set it up with categories. So you would want maybe a written assignments category, well, a lab work category, assignments or anything like that, quizzes. We'll go down to the very bottom and click on Add Category. So we're going to call this one Exams. And so that students have a good idea of how much exams are worth in total, we're going to put that here. So in this course, we're going to say that exams make up 50% of the total course weight. We want to leave it as weighted mean of grades because that's just going to take, you know, if you've got one exam worth 20%, one exam worth 25%, it's just going to do all that math for you and give the students their mark out of 50% of their course. So we want to make sure that we do not exclude empty grades. So although it's rather counterintuitive, you want to make sure that you have this little box unchecked. And then here we're going to set what the category total is. Maybe you're putting it to none. Maybe you're creating a category for non-credit items. Maybe this is a pass-fail, or sorry, for value, that would be what you normally use. For scale, it might be a pass-fail, or you want to have whether it's complete or non-complete. Pass-fail is going to be the most common, as well as the complete non-complete. And when you're selecting these scales, make sure you're paying attention, as there are some you can see down here, do not use, because there's something wrong with them. So we're going to go back up to use no scale. And text is something that you would never really need to use. You're basically only going to use value or scale, occasionally maybe selecting none. So we're going to change this back to value. Maximum grade they can get is 50 because the exams are worth 50%. And then if this was going to go, if we were creating this as a subcategory, we could select what the parent category is down here. But this is going to be our main category. So we can save the changes here. And you'll see it's at the very bottom here. It's put 0 here, so we need to change that to 50 since it's worth 50% of the marks, and hit Save Changes. Now we can go ahead and move any exams in there. So I've got these two exams. I'm going to put a little check next to them. Move them down to my exams column. and boom, they're in there. They're worth 25% each, as you can see, totaling 50. And then this here is just what the exam is out of. So this one was out of 10 marks, and this one was out of 2 marks. We'll create another category here. Maybe this one is no credit items. I've already created a no credit category, but I'll walk you through it anyways. So no credit. We'll leave this as weighted mean of grades. Out of habit, we're going to uncheck the exclude empty grades. Category total, this is where it's important. We want to make sure this is set at none. And then we can go ahead and save the changes. So you can see no credit, it's at 0%. We'll leave it at 0%, and I can move whatever I want in there. So this, this test is going to go down into the no credit column category. Sorry. Perfect. We can also add grade items. This is a great thing to do when you're setting up the gradebook. So you could put your final exam in here. And what we're going to do is change this to scale and go down and search through all of this until we find the placeholder grade score. So this allows you to have your gradebook set up completely without actually having the assignment or the exam physically created in your eClass site. So I'm going to put this placeholder under exams. And you can see it right here, final exam. So students will see this in their gradebook, so they know there is a final exam. I guess I should change this around. So this is 15, 15, and we'll make this 20%. So now they know they've got a final exam worth 20%. They can see this in the course outline, but it's nice as a student to see a complete gradebook as well. So now that I've made these changes, I need to save changes down here so they stick. Now we're also going to add another grade item, and this is called letter grade. So this is a great option to choose so that the letter grade is displayed on the Moodle or eClass site, as well as the course total. So we've called this letter grade. We're going to change this, we're going to leave this as value. Maximum grade is 100. And we're just going to save changes, and you'll see that right down here, letter grade. We want to make sure that it's at 0%. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to edit calculation. This is where things can get a little bit more complicated. Basically, we're telling this letter grade what we want to be considered as part of the course total. So I've got my exams category, and that definitely needs to be in it. So I'm going to just create a category name, call this exams. And since we should probably have some assignments in here, I'm just going to put this next to the assignment examples. I want assignment examples included in the total letter grade for my students, but I don't really want to create a category for it. So this is a great way to do that, and we're just going to call this assignment. When we go down, we're going to click on Add ID Numbers. And now you'll see, next to exams, category total, it's got this little thing in double brackets. So up here, I'm going to create my calculation. So we need to start it off with equals, and then we'll paste exams. Now, if exams was the only thing that was being considered in the letter grade, you'd be done and you could hit Save Changes. But since I also want this one assignment in there, I'm going to go plus, and then I'll just copy and paste this. Don't want the space in before. Paste it up there. And now my letter grade is going to display with exams and assignment. So save changes. Now you have to make sure your letters are set up. So that will be under this tab. As you can see, it says the default grade letters are currently overridden, and I've got the correct scale that the University of Alberta uses here. You would want to edit letter grades and make sure override site defaults is checked. And then you can change these to make sure they're matching the scale that's being used, and that scale would be listed on your course outline. Once you've got the letters as you want them, you can hit Save Changes, and you know your letter grades are good. Perfect. So we'll go back into Setup here. And I just want to go Edit Settings, make sure everything's good. And it is. Perfect. So we'll cancel out of here. Unfortunately, since I don't have any students in my course, I can't show you how that would look once that was done. But that's how you want to set up your gradebook. So let's just show some examples. This is a pass-fail course. So as you can see, there aren't really any spots for me to put this is worth 20%, this is worth 30%, because no activities are really worth a specific amount of marks. The students are just expected that they have to pass everything. So as you can see, we've got our categories. We've indicated that it's pass-fail since we can't put 20% or anything behind it. With pass-fail, we've set it to be lowest grade. And this is so that if a student fails something, it's bringing forward that fail mark instead of a pass mark if they passed something else. Pass-fail courses can get quite complicated. And then as you'll see here, we're just going to go into Edit Calculation. Instead of it saying letter grade, we've got pass-fail, since it's not really a letter grade that they're getting. And in this, you can see that it's a bit of a longer calculation because there are more things that we're considering in the passing and failing of this course. Excellent. Now I'll show you the letters here, as they should be a bit different, not set up quite properly yet. So let's edit those. We're going to override the site defaults, and we're changing this to say credit, and this one to say no credit. And then we can just delete all of these. Oh, I'll have to go back for that B+. Perfect. So for the pass and fail, we want to make sure credit is set to 99.99 and no credit is 99.98 or below. We'll save the changes here. And perfect. You can see that they're set. Credit and no credit. Now, on to a slightly more complicated regular course. As you can see, we've got the categories set up. We've got exams, assignments, and then the letter grade at the bottom. So in this one, the exam for one section was done a bit differently than the exam for another section. The way the course is set up, each section has topics and they're restricted from other sections. So we needed to have the gradebook be a bit more complicated. We created a main category, exams, and then we had to have subcategories in there, exam number 1 and exam number 2. And we've set this up so that the aggregation is highest grade because the students will have 1 mark for one of these and nothing in the other one. We've done the same for assignments, both the synthesis of research finding and the 3MT group presentation. So when we go down here, we're going to go to Edit Calculation for the letter grade. And you can see, even though we have all those subcategories, it's still a very simple calculation of exams and assignments. So I'll just quickly show you how to create a subcategory. So we'll do the same thing. Go to Add Category. We're going to call this name BO1 Exams. And we'll set it up the same way we normally want. I'll say 25% here. We've got it set to value. The maximum grade will be 25 because it's worth 25%. And then here we can just slot this under exams. So now you see I've got my subcategory BO1 exams. And let's move the final exam down there. Perfect. So I guess I should have said BO1 exams was worth 20% instead of 25, but that's okay. Let's go make that change right now. We'll go edit settings and we'll just change that to 20. There. Got that worth 20%. We've got this worth 20%, but you can see there's one spot I didn't change it. I should have changed it there. So we will save our changes first. So now you can see the total for exams is 50%. We've got 30 from these two and then 20% coming from the final exam. So how it will work is the computer will do its calculations for the subcategory, and then you'll have a mark for the subcategory which will get worked into the mark for the total category. So I'm just going to make this last change so everything matches. Perfect. And you are good to go. And then of course we always want to make sure that the letter grade is hidden from students and that the course total is hidden from students. We don't want the students seeing that. We've given them all the information so they can work out their mark themselves if they want to double check. But the official mark for the University of Alberta is coming from Bear Tracks, not from eClass. And that's why we keep these hidden. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below in the comments section. But thank you so much for joining me in this video. It was great, and have a wonderful day.